I'm about 3 years late to this game, but today I will be doing an in-depth review of the game. It will be a long one, so please sit down and relax as we dive into the world of Horizon Zero Dawn. The year is 3020 and the world looks very different from what one would expect. Flora and fauna cover the ground, no skyscrapers, no cars, no roads in sight. But we do start out on a cliff edge with a man named Rost. He's carrying a child. The child's name is Aloy. Ross is her caretaker, and he raises her, but the village does not feel so kindly about this child. They are the outcasts. It seems something has happened to our once civilized communities, schools, and infrastructure. As the ceremony concludes, we are then directed to when Aloy, our protagonist, was a child. The world seems teeming with life, but also dead. The world seems to have forgotten those who came before. Is this an alternate world, you may ask yourselves? Eager to find out, we take control of Aloy and begin to uncover the secrets of this strange world. The world of Horizon Zero Dawn is primitive and dangerous. Machines wander the valleys and mechanical birds of prey stalk the skylines. There are natural animals in the ecosystems that pose no threat, but their mechanical counterparts are lethal if you fail to. The Watchers watch the flocks and the flocks graze, but why? What purpose would that serve? Being a machine, they would have no need for food or drink. Head full of questions, but that's exactly the problem. Horizon Zero Dawn hardly answers questions. You may receive some answers, but many still confuse you. The player should not have to speculate about the game to get clear answers. Sometimes that is intentional, to delay gratification, to delay satisfaction for another game. But to put so many questions in our heads and never answer most of them is a flaw in the fabric of the game. The mystique is not lost when you answer a few questions. They answer the big questions, but the small questions being answered flesh out the world, give the lore depth. After you establish the baseline of the lore, then the fans can speculate outside of the game's realm. Curate about the vast land masses that are no longer inhabited. That is good storytelling. A big problem with this game is the lack of storytelling. It's an unpopular opinion. I played this game months ago and never commented on it. Might have to friends or family, but the game left me unfulfilled. It did not feel like the story went anywhere, and the 2 weeks it took me to finish the game utterly wasted. I tried to enjoy it. I wanted to give the game a fair go because it's gorgeous. The lighting, the set design, the water, rocks, bushes, and trees look phenomenal. None of that matters if you cannot enjoy the storyline. To create a great game, you need a mix of all elements. You need good storytelling, a fleshed out world for which the story can even be told in, compelling, believable characters. The world is well built, but the story and characters are not. That does not allow me to be immersed in the world. Without compelling characters, there are no stakes. What are you fighting for? I'm not sure exactly. The game never tells us. We just do things. We do have a motivation, but it changes with the tide. This might turn off the brain of the player. If the game developers won't tell us, why should we care? We won't. If we don't care, we aren't invested. Why should we care about Aloy? Because she's the main character? No. Why should we care? Does she have any motives we empathize with? Yes, in the beginning, but by mid-game, we no longer empathize with her because we cannot understand her trials. One thing this game gets very right is the scale of the world. It's open world. You can go wherever you like, whenever you want. The world is massive, but that can also be a hindrance. However, the positives about the world are 1. A lot of enemies to kill. 2. A lot of necessities and essential resources. 3. Gives a sense of depth by distance. These are really good for this type of game. However, we run into a different type of problem. 90% of the game is spent walking all the time. This is a story game, but where's the story? They do have a fast travel system, which I like. Forces you to walk. But here's the issue. It's not walking after a few missions. It's walk to the city 7,000 meters away, and then go back and forth. Drives me insane. Makes the player go there once or twice, then stop. People will get bored when you do that. Especially someone like me who doesn't like fast travel in games. I prefer to walk or ride to the destination, unless I hate the game and want to get it over with. Players should not be forced into fast travel or be faced with boredom. My thumb got sore to get to one destination. I was playing for 15 minutes of continuous walking and I hadn't even reached my destination yet. That talks about the full scale of the game, but it's so big that you can get bored very easily. Let's get into characters. The two characters they want us to like are Rost and Aloy. As I mentioned, both are outcasts of their village. Aloy, it was her birth, but Rost, it was never explained. Same problem as before. They want us to like Rost, but we don't know what he did to become an outcast. Is he a murderer? A thief? Did he choose it? Depending on what it is could influence our empathy towards him. If he killed somebody, we're less likely to empathize with him being an outcast. Aloy we empathize with because she was born an outcast. Aloy hates being an outcast and she wishes to become part of the village. We want that for her. That's a motivation that we can get behind because we all understand what it's like to be alone. We care about the main character because she has reasonable goals in the beginning. As she develops, she starts to lose those reasonable goals and goes off Destiny. Nobody can relate to Destiny, so you want us to like her later in the game. You should have just kept the same motivation. She's working to not be an outcast anymore, but you got rid of that after the first couple missions. She did a challenge. She turns out she's the best in the tribe. It was a little odd, but she worked hard. Rost dies by Shadow Karja. They invaded, and I felt nothing because we didn't know him. They gave us nothing to go off of. They only gave us the beginning, and then they gave us a little bit of him raising Aloy, but that doesn't change anything. We didn't know him. We didn't know what his motivations were. We don't know what he wanted. That's the problem throughout the whole game. None of the characters are believable. If you can't create believable characters, people aren't going to care. You need to create characters that have reasonable goals. If his goal was to keep Aloy safe, and he actually mentioned that, through, like, maybe if we got a section of where we were playing as him and we got to go through and see him work hard to protect Aloy, but he never does. He teaches her how to hunt and do some other things, but we never see that. We see a little bit of her training, and then we see at the beginning, and then we see the end of her training. So I'm assuming he trained her throughout that entire time, but we never saw any of it, and so she comes out just being great at everything. Which is fine, it's okay, but she, we never see Rost basically teach her anything. We never see them grow together. We never see them develop a relationship. We just see her at the beginning. They kind of have a little bit of an emotional moment, but then you go later on, and then it's like her and him are just like friends. They don't act like they really love each other all that much, and then Ross dies, and the game's like, hey, care about this. And I mean, I did, because I don't want people to die, but at the same time, I was thinking, yeah, but I don't know anything about it. I don't know anything about him. We have no idea who he is, or where he came from. We have no idea why he's an outcast, as I've said. If they would have told us this, it would have made the moment a lot more emotional, for me anyway. The animations are okay, they have their flaws, but overall they're okay. I do like the importance of exploring. You need to explore because some of the boss fights are nearly impossible without them. As I found out, had to load a save and redo it. That's not even a joke. I was stuck on this one part for an hour, and I had to reload my save and go back and get some upgrades so I could finish it. It was very hard, and I was kind of upset. And I think I rage quit twice on that enemy. I rage quit, got back on, tried to beat it again, rage quit again, and then after like an hour break, I got back on and then finished it. I went and reloaded the save and finished it in 15 minutes, and I was like, man, that kind of sucks. Exploring the world to get different outfits is exciting. When you get them, it doesn't mean anything because they don't do anything. They have these item descriptions, but they don't really affect anything. They might have a couple of bonuses here or there, but it's really not anything drastic for what you have to do to get them. The one thing I do recommend if you're going to play this game is to go out and get all of the upgrades for like the pouches and stuff, because that's important. You need to have that because the bigger the pouch, the more ammo you can hold, makes boss fights easier, makes the game a lot more fun. You don't have to run around and try to scramble to gather resources real quick because you ran out. You spent however long gathering materials for an outfit and none of it mattered. Why would you do this? If you want them to explore, give them a reason to. This game has different choices you can make that change your character's feelings towards something. Does not matter though, you cannot actually change anything, it is a pointless mechanic. I thought at first that it was exciting, but I soon found out the ending is the same for everyone. All of the choices they had you make didn't matter. She still chooses what she wants to do, so why did you include them? It's just there for... can't even tell you. This review sounds overly critical. We're going in depth in this one. I couldn't tell you what the game is trying to teach us, if there is a motive behind the game, or the developers thought it would be a good concept for a game, which it is. I like the idea of a strong, fallible female hero. We got that in this game. Aloy really isn't the problem. It's every other character we got in this game. The characters don't do anything for the plot. They wait around for Aloy to fix it. This bothers me because yes, she is the hero, but she can't do everything. Repelling an invasion by yourself. And people are like, classic Aloy. We should have gotten teamwork to bring down the threat. Working out plans, at least a cutscene of taking something down together instead of just Aloy doing it. Really bothers you when that happens. It's like, yes, you're the main character, but you're still a human. You should still be getting help with things and not having to do everything by yourself. That always bothers me. Aloy is good at most things, but she's still a human being. She has no special powers, and destiny doesn't really cut it physically. Most things one human body can't do. That's pretty realistic, but not with Aloy. She gets battered and beaten, and no one offers to help, even though it's their problem too. Who does that? Nobody just lets someone handle an impending invasion by themselves. The stealth in this game is very well done. There are a lot of missions where you have to use stealth, and they present a real challenge. There are a few styles of attacks you can do. There's a slingshot, bows, spears, and skills to correlate to each, and skills for survival and stealth skills to give you more health to double your herb pouch size. Good skills that I've never used. Only one I use is the double herb pouch. They're good, but I never saw the point, so I didn't pay much attention to it. There are options to stealth all the missions or go in and wreck ass. I love it when games do that. They allow you to play however you like. But it gets repetitive, and they use it to make the game longer. Every room you go into, there's another stealth section, or another Deathbringer machine to fight. It takes so long to get back to the story. Too much of a good thing is bad. They did a great job with the fighting and combat, but if you put it everywhere, it gets tiresome. This game has a lot of feelings that are in the real world. Racism, hatred, these are all factors into this storyline. They hated Aloy for something she couldn't control. They didn't give her a chance. This is a real problem in the world today. Racism is just as strong now as it was 100 years ago. This game gives us a perspective into the other side of this hatred. We see Aloy get treated like garbage, and this angers us, because we know she's not. Video games can teach us things about this. I always really like this when games do that. So, with everything going on, this game, it was trying to tell us, you still can't judge people by the color of their skin. And A lot of games now are talking about that. You know, they have feelings of hatred for the LGBT community and why that's wrong, and that's why I really like games like this. I love games when they include things that we can learn, things that we can implement into our lives. This game is very good at giving us a sense of feeling for Aloy, but not anyone else. Perhaps it wanted to emulate her feelings of isolation, but not allowing us to connect with any of the characters. This may in fact show her loneliness and her pain. This might have just been bad writing, but I'm inclined to believe it had a deeper meaning. The vastness of the world can also create a sense of isolation. So much, but we are so little. The people are rude, saying they won't talk to us because we are outcasts. This might just start make us feel alone. Along with Aloy, this game is a mix of good and bad. Let us go further into the game. The abandoned Precursors temples. The new natives to the area avoid it like a plague, but Aloy is fascinated by them. She does not fear them like the others do. Stumbles into one and finds a small triangular device called the Focus. This allows her to scan the environment and know things that the ancient people did before they disappeared. It gives her an advantage over others. She can read weaknesses on machines and read weaknesses on humans. She can see through walls and rocks to tag the threat and follow it, allowing her to escape or engage that weakness from afar. Great gameplay mechanic, and it's balanced, which is a good thing. It's similar to detective mode from Batman Arkham City. It allows stealth to be easier. You can locate special resources on machines with the Focus. I really like things in games like this that make sense. So in Dying Light, with the survivor sense, it really doesn't make any sense. But in Batman Arkham City, he uses it in his cowl. In this game, it comes out from the Focus. The game doesn't hold your hand, and there are a lot of ways to complete a mission, which gives you a sense of freedom. However, this doesn't affect the story in any way. Aloy is tasked to go to the land of the Sun Karja to learn about what is going on. The land of the Karja is called Meridian. A kingdom reminiscent of Roman architecture and style, vastly different from the land you came from. They have steel, armor, and their stonework is unmatched. They live very different lives than what you are used to. The two groups of people dislike each other. They do not care for either of their ways. You learn the Shadow Karja are using evil magics to raise the fallen machines and control them. This is detrimental to everyone. Before, the machines were a non-biased threat. Now they are focused power. Just exploring the city of Meridian leaves me in awe of all the work that went into designing this game. It's beautiful, the lighting reflecting off the stone, the sun making the sand look a deep orange in the sunset, but here you notice they treat you differently to them. You're not an outsider. They're much more friendly to Aloy, and you might be inclined to stay. There's so much to explore in this city, I highly suggest you do so. One thing I really like about this game is the cosmetics of the outfits. Even though they serve little to no function to the story, the outfits you can wear and the outfits of the people look really good. However, I don't understand why the NPCs talk so quietly. I thought it was just my volume, so I increased the sliders, but it sounds so muffled. You have the option to trigger one of their response dialogues to the random NPCs in the town. It's so goofy you can't hear what they say, which is disappointing. You should be able to go around the city and get bits of information from the civilians. They do live there. They will not add to the lore, unfortunately. When a game offers you depth and does not give it to you, it is very disappointing. I would have loved to know why they are so much more advanced than the Nora people. There are 3 tribes in Horizon Zero Dawn: Karja, Nora, and Oseram. The Karja can be further broken down into the Sun Karja and the Shadow Karja. The Sun Karja and the Oseram found in Meridian. The game does not say who founded the city or when. Aloy empathizes with the Oseram because they are outcasts in Meridian as well. This is why I personally like Aloy. She's been there and she understands how to interact with people. She knows what it is like to be treated poorly, and she does not wish to treat others the same way. She's very hot-headed and irrational at times, but that just adds to her charm. She's the best thing about this game, hands down. The rest of the game does not fare so well. The main problem with Horizon Zero Dawn is, the story concept is great, but the method does not justify the madness. Essentially, Aloy does not know who her mother is. The Norse say she was born of the mountain. Obviously, Aloy knows this is false. She has to have a mother. So she agrees to go on a dangerous mission to save her oppressors from the Shadow Carja and their deity, so she can somehow find her mother, but she has to go back and forth in mission after mission. See where I'm going with this? Doesn't make a lot of sense. This is a fantastic game and a very good game to play if you ignore the story. This is my personal opinion, please don't attack me for this. The Oseram and the Sun Carja have us do a lot of random missions. All of them were fun at the time, but I don't remember half of them. This game is very forgettable. Aloy learns that something is corrupting their focuses and telling them what to do. This entity is called Hades. Hades speaks to them through a focus, giving them tasks and fulfilling his wishes. So we go back and forth and back and forth. This is a common theme, so much travel with little information. This is a problem, like I mentioned, it drags on. This entire game was filled with rage quits and boredom. The pacing is all kinds of wrong. People should be eager to hear what comes next, and not asking when it will end. It drones on and on and on. Your conclusion isn't any good, and it leaves it empty and asking why. It sounds harsh, but that is the truth. This game got a lot right, but a lot wrong. It's still fun to play, and I recommend it to you guys. Listen, I really wanted to like this game. I really did, because it looked great, and I got it when I first bought the PS4. And I was playing it, and I was like, okay, I think it might pick up. I think it might be a little better, or might be a little better. But no, it just continually got worse. I really didn't like this game because it just felt so, like, off. Like, none of the characters, to me, made any sense. The storyline didn't make any sense. So she goes through all these loopholes, and then she finds out she's just, like, a genetic clone. And then she never finds her mother, and she's okay with that answer. She just accepts it at the end. She's just like, okay, I don't have a mother. I would be like, dude, what? I don't have a mother? What are you talking about? And she just accepts it. She goes and she puts a flower on the person she was cloned after her grave. So basically, Aloy was created, the machines were created to control Hades. Hades was the thing that made all the machines go and want to eat all the plant life, right? So they had these machines, and then they created Aloy, and then Aloy was supposed to stop Hades. So it was like this weird destiny complex mixed with science and genetics. And at the end of the game, I was like, oh, what? What is even happening? None of this makes any sense. And just like the characters and everything. The one thing that I will say I really liked is the combat. I really liked the settings. The game world is beautiful. The storyline just turns me off so bad. Like I didn't even want to finish it. I was just like, dude, like it drags on, and then you just get there and you're like, wow, this is the most disappointing thing I've ever played. Like I said, this is my personal opinion, and it's okay if you don't agree with me. We're gonna have our likes and our dislikes, but I'm gonna go ahead and give this game a 4 out of 10. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, leave me a like, and leave me a comment letting me know why. Bye guys.